Chambers, your host for Let's Talk Tobago. Today we're coming to you from Mandy Villa, a villa snugged neatly into the seaside village of Mount Irving right here in Tobago. It's the embodiment of charm and a perfect stop-in while we update you on some of the major events and stories happening right here in Tobago. All you have to do as usual is grab a snack, sit back and relax as we bring you the sights and sounds of the island along with the latest details. So we're about to get started with this week's headlines. Tobago is back at the World Travel Market with a bang. The island is ready for business and making up for time lost during the pandemic. We also hit the trail, the Man and the Biosphere Art Trail in Northeast Tobago, that is, as more art is commissioned to bring awareness to the importance of protecting the environment. A special ceremony returns to help parents who have experienced the loss of an infant begin to heal. And later, we hear from a Tobago-born and bred author who shares her COVID experience to the benefit of children. We have all these stories and more for you when Let's Talk Tobago returns. Do stay with us. Thank you so much for staying with us. In our first story, we leave the comfort of this lovely villa for just a few minutes to take you to London, the Excel Exhibition Centre to be exact, for the 43rd edition of the World Travel Market. Over 51,000 participants and more than 5,000 exhibitors from 182 countries and regions, including Tobago, turned up to reconnect, rebuild and innovate after the impact of COVID. We'll tell you what Tobago has to offer in this story. Have a look. Love affair, an intense enthusiasm or liking for something. Tobago, the capital of paradise. Put the two together and we understand your love affair for our 116 square miles of untouched beauty. That is Tobago. And according to Chief Secretary Fali Augustine, every love affair needs to be infused with freshness to keep the romance alive. And that's exactly what's being done by Team Tobago at World Travel Market 2022.
Currently in Tobago, construction has started on a new airport terminal. And when that terminal is completed, it will be one of the largest within the Caribbean region and will be able to facilitate all of you and tons more. You heard about all of the new airlift arrangements that we are currently planning, and we are preparing for you. Secondly, we can finally announce that the Manta Lodge Hotel that you have heard about from about 5 years ago is finally ready for delivery.
Honorable Augustine says more sweets can only make the Tobago love affair sweeter. But what's being created is a product that's superior to anywhere in the world.
We have development starting. The build project has started for the Elephant Tree Resort that's happening up in Tobago East, just downstream of the Argyle Waterfall, sandwiched between two rivers and the beautiful Atlantic Ocean. Construction has begun there. I can also tell you that a new 5-star hotel, I'm not at liberty to give the name, but they are about to start construction in June 2023 at the Kilgwin Bay area.
And there are also exciting new pillars on which the Tobago offering is being rebuilt upon, which include exponential and event tourism.
We're excited to welcome our Tobago Jazz Experience once again next year in 2023, and we'll be excited to announce our headliners very soon as we are finished with World Travel Market. So that I want you to remember that you have to tell a friend about Tobago.
The Tourism Secretary says Tobago is also unearthing the treasures of the island, which will take visitors on a journey of rediscovery. She says our cocoa industry is also being revitalized. You see, Tobago love. Tobago love.
And we look forward to see you in Tobago sometime, anytime. Just jump on a flight and get there anyhow you can.
Now at this time we head northeast Tobago. This is where art and environmental awareness meet on the island. People are now enjoying the splendor and the talent generated on the Man and the Biosphere Art Trail in villages across the island's Man and the Biosphere Reserve. Omadara Mills tells us what's behind this initiative in this next story. Take a look.
Large printed artworks by various Tobago-based artists are now added attractions throughout communities in northeast Tobago. The area has been a UNESCO Man Under the Biosphere Reserve since 2020. Following the launch of the art trail in Bell Garden some weeks ago, other printed pieces were recently unveiled to the public. They are now displayed in the northeast communities of Roxborough, Betsy's Hope, Delaford, Spearside, Charlotteville, Lance for Me, Bloody Bay, and Palo-Tavere. The Art Trail initiative was spearheaded by the Environmental Research Institute of Charlotteville, ERIC, with support from other organizations like the Tobago House of Assembly. Many believe it's a great opportunity for the creative sector.
The artists and the work that they produce is an essential element of that rich culture that we have in Northeast Tobago. So I think it's quite appropriate that we give the artists the kind of exposure and so on, right, that will help them to generate sustainable benefits and so on in the context of this Man the Biosphere program.
It's a good way to use up my time and a good way to learn how to paint.
I feel proud of him. And I think it's a good initiative, especially for young artists.
I find it is a very, very good gesture to have this kind of trail on the island. You know, it will inspire the upcoming artists, you know, to drive around the communities and see paintings. You know, that will give them that encouragement to pursue their dream.
It's indeed a pleasure to be selected for this, art trail, because it's a way of, expressing yourself as an artist, and as well as, bridging that gap between understanding the importance of the environment and the role that it has to play within society.
The 5 paintings in Palo-Tavere are part of the art trail. They were commissioned by the Palo-Tavere Village Council thanks to a grant the organization received from the UNDP. Eric was at the consulting agency on the project. They were done by Lansfommy-based artist Jason Ned.
I really love painting, and I am glad to be a part of this initiative. It gives a lot of influence to the other young people in the community, right? As the work was being done, we have a lot of the youths coming forward asking, I wanted to be a part. So I hope that it serves as an influence to the other young people also in the community.
I think it fosters a sense of pride in who we are and what we do, right? The things that we think of as mundane and everyday. It's an opportunity to actually see yourself, basically, from another perspective, from an external perspective.
The unveiling of the art pieces coincided with the celebration of the inaugural International Day for Biosphere Reserves. In addition to the artworks in various northeastern communities, land and marine-based sculptures like the one done by artist Tommy Roberts are part of the plan for this art trail experience. I'm Amadara Mills for Let's Talk Tobago.
From art to culture, we take a moment to look back at Tobago's first solo carnival, which was crime and incident-free. That's just one of the pros coming out of the inaugural event. Here are some of the highlights of the festival in this update from Tourism Secretary Councillor Tashia Burris. A movie, a dream lit. Those are some words used by many to describe Tobago's inaugural carnival after the curtains came down at the end of October. And the Secretary of Tourism, Culture, Antiquities and Transportation, Councillor Tashia Burris, says it was a labour of love which was successfully executed in just about 8 months.
One of the things that we put out in the space recently was the projected cost, or what the THA was planning to spend for this carnival. And I'm pleased to report that the THA would not incur the 17.5 million that we had initially anticipated that we would spend for this carnival. One of the main reasons for that is that there were some elements of the budget that we weren't able to execute this year. So that is where the cost savings, a lot of cost savings would be realized.
Councillor Burris says the bulk of the carnival spend was done through the Tobago Tourism Agency Limited and the Tobago Festivals Commission Limited. She adds that marketing was a critical component to the success of the event. And what about feedback?
The reviews that I've heard from our visitors who played mass with our mass bands in Tobago, some of them have indicated it's the best mass experience they've ever had. And in our first year, I think that is a huge compliment to have when you talk about persons who came to Tobago who would normally play mass in Trinidad or play mass in Miami or play mass in Notting Hill or Caribana or Labor Day, these larger carnivals across the world, to come to Tobago and talk about the fact that they were embraced from day one by the mass band. So that means the customer service was on point.
The Tourism Secretary says Carnival is a serious economic activity that each Tobagonian has the opportunity to own and become a part of.
One of the things that was very telling for me was finding out that on average, an international visitor to Tobago spends at least 11,000 TT dollars, and that is per visitor. So when you look at what could possibly be the numbers for a Tobago carnival that may have welcomed in the region of about 30,000 visitors over that period, you're talking about, even if you take very basic numbers and say that everybody spent $3,000, let's just use $3,000 as an example. If you extrapolate $3,000 multiplied by 30,000 visitors, you're talking about $90 million. And that is very, very basic.
Post-mortem sessions will be hosted to reveal any shortcomings from Tobago's first solo carnival. Coming up next, we've got highlights from a very special ceremony held to support families who've experienced the loss of an infant. We'll tell you more about it right after this break. Stay with us. Mandy Villa has got the word charm written all over it. It features 5 bedrooms along with 6.5 bathrooms. 2 wings on the upper floor contain 2 bedrooms each, and the 5th is located on the ground floor. It also sports a large games room with a full-size pool table and a table tennis board, as well as an air-conditioned gym to keep you active. And when you're ready for the outdoors, the landscaped garden leads right to the neighboring Mount Irvin Golf Course. Of course, Mandy Villa has all the amenities and safety features to make your experience here a very memorable one. The loss of a baby or infant can be a harrowing experience. On the island, there's an organization doing all it can to help those who experience loss and to sensitize the public about the importance of dealing with this trauma. Umudara Mills tells us about the organization's activities during Baby and Infant Loss Awareness Month in this next story. Listen up.
Sherlan McPherson Jr., twins Sarah and Sarai, King David Potts, Angel Johnson, Ezekiel Lyons, Jason Melville, and Sapphire Faith. These are a few of the babies and infants gone but not forgotten. They and many others were remembered at this year's International Wave of Light ceremony held by the Zafiri Foundation at Scarborough General Hospital. It's the 3rd year the foundation is publicly raising awareness about the trauma Tobago families face after losing a child. Supporters at the ceremony say there's much need for this event.
You know, it makes you aware of what is happening out there, and that there are people out there, you know, that who needs such awareness to bring us to that place of understanding that there is hurt and pain out there, and we need to come together to support, such people.
I think what Zafiri Foundation is doing is really important for moms and dads, siblings, relatives, because I really believe we are always dealing with traumatic situations, especially infant loss. Groups for it. I really hope that it can grow even larger, throughout the both islands and even regionally, so that we can bring more awareness and sensitivity to it.
The Wave of Light ceremony started 20 years ago in the UK and the US. This year's candle lighting activity was done under the theme Stepping Stones. Makeda Grace started the Zafiri Foundation after losing her unborn several years ago. She says support groups like hers are vital to many.
You can't just get up a morning and lose a baby and expect to go back to normal reality tomorrow. No, it takes baby steps. Hence the reason why the theme for this year in pregnancy loss is stepping stones. So each step that you take, you know that you're not alone in this journey, and it gives them an avenue to know that they're not alone, and that by sharing and hearing different stories, they could use information from different persons as to how they would have coped after the loss.
The foundation facilitated an online session with a psychologist for its members. It provided the counseling they need to begin to heal. An awareness walk from Shore Park Complex to the Scarborough General Hospital also helped to sensitize the public about pregnancy and infant loss. I'm Amadara Mills for Let's Talk Tobago.
Nicole Thomas, the 2022 Tobago Carnival Calypso monarch, is proud to celebrate her successful defense of the title. Today, she's sharing her experience as the competition returned following a hiatus, of course, due to COVID-19. She has plans to help grow the art form. Joelle Sampson tells us more.
Tobago Calypso monarch Nicole Thomas is thrilled after recently winning the title. She says her aim was to be relevant and to captivate her audience.
I wanted to do a calypso that was timely and would really captivate the audience. So I spoke to my writer and we came up with Carnival is We. Carnival is We is a composition that really tells of the authenticity of Carnival, where it originated, how our ancestors, how we need to pay homage to our ancestors for how they molded our culture.
Nicole says her focus was on depicting the true meaning of Carnival to the people of Tobago. She wanted to ensure her vision for the song unfolded. For her, winning was just the icing on her cake. This win, she says, was special.
The whole response, I felt as though I won the Miss Universe. I've been in interviews back to back. I don't know if it's because of the timing of the song, but I'm getting a lot of great response and compliments. I want to say thank you to Tobago and Trinidad and Tobago on the whole.
Nicole has also won the Tobago Windward Calypso Monarch title 11 times, and she's an 8-time semi-finalist in the National Calypso Monarch competition. She's got advice for Tobago's emerging Calypso talent.
Going out and performing and doing your best, that is all we can ask for. Don't study the prize money. Study about contributing to the art form and developing yourself.
Nicole is also urging Tobagonians to support their culture. She believes the industry will only grow and improve when persons participate and add value. She also wants to see more done to assist the island's talent.
I think greater collaboration with TUCO and culture and all the stakeholders to really understand what it takes to prepare for a competition, what is really needed as, let's say, the cash prize, what's needed to help the artists develop in terms of recording and putting their songs out there so that they wouldn't even stay in the Tobago space, that they would go further to Trinidad and we could travel.
Nicole says she's now recognized a lot more everywhere she goes. She's now a 6-time Tobago Calypso monarch after successfully defending her 2020 title. With her 2022 triumph, she also marks 19 years as a Calypso competitor. I'm Joelle Sampson for Let's Talk Tobago.
Eliminating domestic violence and abuse has always been the mission of the NGO Women of Substance. This time around, the organization focused on empowering girls from Tobago's secondary schools in recognition of International Day of the Girl, the Child, and Domestic Violence Awareness Month. We have highlights from the opening day as well as feedback from some of the young participants from Amadara Mills.
It is our first girls symposium and it's going to be an annual event. We do the boys symposiums where we go to the schools, so we intend to engage the schools and the students more, because the important thing is creating the awareness, so persons know, our young people know what domestic violence and abuse is and what the red flags are and what can be done if they find themselves in a situation. We want girls to speak out. A lot of them are on social media, and we want them to also speak out boldly and bravely on those platforms. We want girls to speak out against domestic violence and abuse. We want them to use their voices basically. We are so used to hearing little girls must be heard, seen and not heard. We want to change that narrative. We want to encourage the girls to speak, use their God-given voices.
I like the fact that it was generation friendly and that they made it so that even the younger ones within the mix were able to interact and get different experiences and learn different things throughout the event itself.
I found this event was informative. It raised awareness to girls and showed us we need to be perfect in our own way. We are melanin queens and we deserve to be treated right.
I liked how all the ladies who were a victim of domestic violence, I like how they were brave enough to speak about their experience.
Yes, I think you all should have more sessions like these because it's very informative for young ladies to learn. All of them had a motivating aspect in it. My favorite one was Miss Universe, and how she did it and stuff.
I came here as a presenter, but I felt so empowered through all the different panelists, the words of inspiration, a reminder that we do have voices and we need to occupy these spaces. I think these platforms need to be invested in more because it's where the site or the ground for where young women are going to be able to flourish and grow and nurture their God-given potentials.
I think it was very relevant, timely, and a fantastic way of transmitting not only information but values, and that these young women can take to help them to build their lives and their future.
We have to take another break, but do not go away. Let's Talk Tobago. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Oh, Tobago, son of the soil. My name is Duvon Stewart and you're watching Let's Talk Tobago.
Hi, I'm Kirsten. My name is Onika. I'm Kamara Lani. I am Catherine. My name is Shadi. And we're watching Let's Talk Tobago.
The impact of COVID-19 is still being felt. Some people have looked for lessons and opportunities brought by the pandemic, including one Tobago-born attorney whose challenges inspired her to become a children's author. Here's more.
She watched her 4-year-old son struggle with limited face-to-face interaction during the pandemic. This experience propelled Iana Del Darlington Jordan Benjamin to become author of the book I Am Well. She says a lack of communication between parent and child can result in mental health issues. In extreme cases, it can even lead to suicide. Iana says proper parent-to-child communication is critical to the well-being of children. Writing this book is her way of contributing to the improvement of parent-child relationships in the 21st century.
it's a mental health book. And again, because of COVID and the lack of social interactions that I saw in my own experience with my family, especially for young kids, I saw that there was that need to inspire them through words, right? And then also when they are healthy, their interactions with other kids will be healthy, and therefore that would impact our world eventually.
Iana says once children are mentally fit, they will inspire others to produce a ripple effect that will strengthen social interactions and inspire other kids to do well. Her book was officially published on August 1st, 2022. It's now available online on Amazon and Barnes & Nobles and at Trinidad and Tobago booksellers.
I am going to do a book tour in the United States, where we're originally based. And of course, because of my connections to Trinidad and Tobago, specifically Tobago, I absolutely want to do a book tour in Tobago as well. And of course, introduce it. I want to also donate a few copies to our Scarborough Library.
Iana says she credits her illustrator Jeannie Joni for the beautiful design of her book cover. The author says she didn't realize how demanding the publishing world is. She says the experience showed her that there's a lot more to becoming an author than just putting pen to paper.
I was writing mantras for my son. His name is Channing. And I was like, you know what? I can actually codify this and put it in book form so he can have it and he can read it on his own when he's older, right? But then I was like, okay, let me look into getting it published, right? And then it went down this whole rabbit hole of, oh, you need ISBN numbers and you need to try to get it onto Amazon and try to get it onto Barnes & Noble, or you can actually go through Random House or one of those large publishers, but then they can reject a manuscript and the length of time for them to read and edit a manuscript. So it was a whole process that I had no awareness about.
Iana is urging aspiring authors to make Google their best friend. She says proper research will provide all the information you need to become self-published. She says it took her 10 years to get this first book published. Iana believes you can do it too. Her advice is just start writing, get a manuscript, and from there, the sky's the limit. I'm Josanne Brassi for Let's Talk Tobago.
So we've come to the end of yet another edition of Let's Talk Tobago, and as always, we thank you for watching. Please email us with your comments or queries about the program, and be sure to visit our website, like our Office of the Chief Secretary Facebook page, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. For more on today's location, Mandy Villa, you can contact the Villa's manager at 786-8731. From our house to yours, I'm Davia Chambers, along with the Department of Information, Office of the Chief Secretary, Tobago House of Assembly, wishing you a safe and fantastic week. As we go, we leave you with a montage of Tobago's visit to World Travel Market 2022.
running from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning, Tobago, and welcome this morning to the Tobago Updates Morning Show. I am Rhea Richardson George, and this is the day that the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. Good morning, Tobago. Good morning, Trinidad. Those of you in the Caribbean and those of you viewing us on the live.
Good morning to each and every one of you, those connecting with us via TV, those connecting via radio, and those of you joining us online. I am Julian Skeet, and it's really great to be here once again this morning. I'm now seeing the shade of this green on set. Indeed, I didn't anticipate it would be this bright, but I'm here to brighten up your morning this morning.
Right. That's right. It looks a lot brighter on,
indeed.
on air than it does in person. But it looks good.
It almost feels like a service provider kind of green. Thank you so much, each and every one of you, continuing to connect with us and to choose the Tobago Updates Morning Show. Rhea, how was your evening yesterday?
It was a quiet evening. We've had some really busy days, but I'm really thankful. Really busy days. But I'll tell you this, it's telling on my body. I'm no longer 22, Julian. I may look it. I think I look it, but
we can't tell at all. We can't tell at all. And
the body doesn't feel it at all.
I really want to send my commendations out to the Youth Wednesday team yesterday. Quite an enjoyable program, connecting there with our youth host and they up at the preschool. And I just enjoyed hearing the children in the background and so on. I mean, it made my day. It made my day. Kudos and commendations to the entire team out there, youth host Luke, Dwayne, Kaylee, and the entire team that made it happen yesterday at Tobago Updates. Rhea, beautiful indeed.
Program. So kudos this morning to the producer.
Yes,
job well done.
Indeed. All right, viewers, at this point we head on over to news in 90 seconds.
I am Chanel Felix. Thank you, Rhea and Julian. And today it is the 16th of November 2022. 10 residents in Tobago received public utilities grant from the Ministry of Public Utilities. The grants were provided under the Resident Electrification Program and the Water Tank Assistance Program from the Ministry of Public Utilities. The program targeted lower-income residents who could not acquire water tanks or whose homes needed rewiring. The Ministry of Public Utilities remained committed to the people of Tobago, as has been said by Marvin Gonzalez from the PNM-led central government. Even though they are no longer in charge of the THA, they will continue to assist Tobagonians in the need through their various programs. Additionally, the URP Furniture Workshop produced over 650 tables and 300 chairs for infants in early childhood care and primary school across Tobago. More orders are on the way so that at least 25 schools would benefit from the new furniture by December this year. The URP Furniture Workshop has been working closely with the Division of Education, Research and Technology to improve the furniture at the schools around Tobago. Many schools encountered problems with their furniture because of COVID-19 pandemic and forcing schools to go online for 2 years. And in national news, the Ministry of Education reminded school principals of guidelines relating to the use of mobile handhelds electronics on the school compound. According to the guidelines, video and audio recordings of any type on the school grounds, including class sessions, are prohibited unless written permission is obtained from the principals or designated school administrator. Additionally, students in school uniform are subjected to the school's mobile policy use, even though they are not on the school grounds. These guidelines are under the National Conduct of School Students Policy. Thank you, and over back to you, Rhea and Julian.
Thank you so much, Chanel.
All right, Rhea, and I see a number of viewers in the mix there. Marilyn Clark, Julia Brown, Alicia Devines, Wayne Clark, Alicia Samuel, We also have Lisa James, Kiki Melville. Want to say morning to each and every one of you joining us here on the live this morning and connecting with us. Let me also shout out Crystal, Washington, Tom, connections with Mrs. Charles out there as well. My grandmother, Ursula Skeet, Auntie Selma, everybody out there in the mix tuned in. We want to say thank you so much for continuing to choose the Tobago Updates morning show.
All right, as well, we want to recognize some of our sponsors this morning. We want to say thank you this morning to Hair Sanctuary, to Just My Size, Joy's Fashion. Good morning, Mateos. Good morning to you, Mateos. And Mateos has their product out, and they are all over Trinidad and Tobago now. I saw them quite recently at a business fair being hosted at the Hyatt in Trinidad just about a week or so ago. So good morning to you, Mateos. And I'm talking here, Mateos has sandals that you can wear every day, all day, and we're talking not just good looks, but comfort.
Indeed. And I want to make sure and shout out Classic Cuts by Aquilon. And the Classic Cuts is located in Susulands, and therefore remember to check him out. My barber, responsible. Classic Cuts by Aquilon, located in Susulands. You can connect with him on Instagram and Facebook, social media. Make sure you make that connection with Classic Cuts by Aquilon.
Right.
Ria, we're heading on into some birthday celebrations this morning.
That's right, and it's Thursday the 17th.
Thursday the 17th of November. Let's get some birthdays running.
All right, so we've got Dijon Saul celebrating his birthday. Love going out to you this morning, Dijon, from the entire Tobago Updates family, from Danae, Danelle, and your nieces and nephews out there. Love going out to you.
And this morning we want to highlight it's Tertia Holder James. Tertia Holder James, wishing you a happy birthday and God's continued blessings. Do enjoy the celebrations, Tertia.
We've got Carissa Andrews Quashi celebrating her birthday today, and love going out to you this morning, Carissa Andrews Quashi. Have a great day. Love from the Tobago Updates
I think there's a connection there to Joy's Fashion.
Oh, that's her daughter.
Yes,
okay.
yes, the daughter. All right. So wishing you a happy birthday, Carissa.
Janelle, we've also got another birthday, and I thought we would have had the picture up, but we sent it anyway, and that's Wayne Richardson celebrating her birthday today.
Yes.
So love going out to you, Wayne, from your wife, Natalie, from your son.
Because I'm not going to say you got to make the connection.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's
to our
right.
very own reporter here, and she is hosting a time or two, Natalie Richardson, and that's the husband of Natalie Richardson. I want to wish him a happy birthday from the entire family. Yes.
Richardson man.
Viewers, Rhea has gone down a totally another road.
Richardson man.
All right, and on our lineup this morning on the rundown, we begin the conversation with Max James, former assemblyman of the Tobago House of Assembly, and we're speaking to the administration 1 year later. We're also going to be speaking to the accomplishments, challenges, and expectations. All right. Then we continue the discussions this morning with Karen Nunes Teixeira, a former government minister. And we're going to be speaking on the matter of the PNM internal elections, which at this point appear to be going to court. All right. And we wrap this morning with Julian Rogers, veteran broadcaster, as we speak Tobago, Antigua, and Barbuda link up here on the Tobago Updates morning show. So, Ria, we've got an interesting lineup in the mix this morning.
Indeed.
I see Marilyn Spence-Jofield has joined us online. Welcome, morning to you, as well as Litmore Brebna Dillon joining us online this morning. Doniel Wilson, morning to each and every one of you continuing to connect with us.
All right.
That's right. Good stuff, Ria. We ready to go? All right, viewers. Let me thank those of you connecting with us via TV, those connecting and listening to us on the radio, and those of you joining us online, including Selma Lashley and Pearl Murray Beard. This is your opportunity to share the live.
MI4 Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash and transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
Lifespan is the affordable critical illness plan you need. Cover expenses up to $1 million. Tattoo Life, guaranteed protection.
Was a while before Christmas, and all through the land, people was putting away house with very little money in hand. They was painting and cleaning and doing their chores, but I went to hunt for deals at American stores. Deals on living and dining room sets, on fridges and stoves, beds and cabinets, on washers and dryers, small appliances cheap, even TVs and stereos, prices just can't be beat. So let's Christmas together at American stores. After all, what they tell me, anything could be yours.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place.
Good morning, viewers. It is 7:14 a.m. and welcome back to the Tobago Updates morning show, coming to you here live from the Port Mall in Scarborough. In this segment, viewers, we will be chatting with Max James, former assemblyman within the Tobago House of Assembly. Morning to you, sir.
Good morning to you, Julian.
All right. When you're off air, you're giving me Tobago dialect, but when you get on air.
No, well, you asked me how I'm going, so I will say me there.
All right.
Or I say me there.
So as we get started this morning with the conversation, we are approximately heading in just 1 year at the beginning of December there in terms of following the last Tobago House of Assembly election, and more specifically the start of the term for this current administration in office led by Chief Secretary Farley Augustine. Let's start by having some discussions in terms of what may have been your general expectations. So we're starting with some opening statements. What were your general expectations 1 year ago?
Well, good morning again, Julian. And let me just say that I have spoken to several assemblymen who've graded themselves as perhaps 7 or 8 in a scale of 1 to 10. So it's good that they could grade themselves. And I tend to agree with them that grade from 0 to 10 or 1 to 10, 7 or 8 is a good grade, is a passing grade, and it speaks volumes to the confidence of this new administration and the projected grades for down the future. If you, after 1 year, you are seeing 7 or 8, I expect a 9 at best going forward. My expectations, I think they have touched on most of them. They are not a perfect organization, team. They have had some significant challenges, and that was to be expected. So in terms of works, and not because the present secretary is my brother, but I think he has done incredibly well. When you look at the whole new ethos in terms of project management, I think they have done really, really well. People are pleased. They have never seen projects completed in record time. I remember I myself, when I was doing project management I was doing my master's degree, the lecturers of the view that project management should be taught perhaps even as early as our primary schools. Just a little statement or two. And here's a little advice to the Secretary for Education in conjunction with the Work Secretary, is that we must begin to teach that, because it speaks to our productivity and to our development as a nation. I don't like to use the term on the island. It's such a bad term. Trinidadians don't say on the island. So the media is the culprit. I just stick that in. You must refrain from saying on the island. Everything's on the island, on the island. Let's say Tobago. Let us begin to big up Tobago and say in Charlottesville or in Roxborough. So the Secretary of Education perhaps could take that on board to begin that new ethos in terms of how we do things. Because everything we do in the morning, we get up, it's a project. So project management speaks to our productivity and our excellence as a nation going forward, as Tobago goes forward. And once we begin to do that, you will see greater levels of productivity in Tobago. So that I think he has done well. People are now beginning to see that, look, we could have done this. And we begin to build up our competencies in everything that we do. So I'm making a plug for the teaching of project management from primary school to secondary school, and then they could take it way after. So I think that he has done well. We have seen the commissioning of the hospital in Roxborough under the control of Dr. Duke. I think they have done well there too. We have seen strides, baby steps, but the ideas are worthy ideas into agriculture. We have seen progress in resolving a number of decades-old problems down at opposite Royal Bank there in Canaan, where the place floods all the time. So they're going to put the pumps there. We are seeing where in-house planning and project management taking place here now, rather than have to rely on UDCUT and the rest of them in Trinidad. So they're beginning to talk self-governance. They're beginning to act as if Tobago is now self-governing, and that's a good thing. We have seen in the Chief Secretary's area where town and country planning is now under the Tobago House of Assembly. It's not fully implemented, but it's going to start very soon, so that we can begin to make our way here in Tobago. Because without town and country planning, which is one of the key areas, you can't plan to build a house in your time. It has to go to Trinidad and then come back. That takes months. So that your planning as an individual person, even as a government, it really keeps us back. So it's an important measure that the Chief Secretary has taken, and I applaud him for that. We're looking for the implementation now. Right.
As you started on the topic of infrastructure, it took me back to some of my learnings in terms of, and you would have served with that administration, in a time where it is the Hotroy Charles-led administration took a number of decisions with limited resources to build out the road infrastructure network in the Tobago space. He faced a lot of challenges then and flack for it, but for today, people are hailing far and wide that the legacy of Hotroy Charles and his administration has been seeking to improve the road network within the Tobago space. Do you almost see a similar kind of situation taking place where naturally this administration has put some efforts through the division of infrastructure in terms of improving and seeking to further even extend and expand the road networks and areas within the Tobago space? And the same thing is happening once again, that there are number of queries and challenges with it, but is it something you anticipate people will grow to appreciate down the road?
It must be, because they're beginning to accept the changes already. You have a little bit of noise from the PNM, of course. You know they will throw everything at the fan, wherever it sticks, because they don't know how to be out of power. So it's the same thing happened to Robinson when he came in 1986, where Robinson had to resort to bring in fresh people, bright minds as they call them, Trevor Farrell and all the rest of them that came in, and the PNM didn't like that at all. So Robinson was opposed into the point of almost death. Such is the measure of the PNM. They will oppose you, even if they could have to kill you. And therefore we have to change the society. We have to push back against that tyranny and political establishment which says that if we are not in power, we will kill you. so that Tobagonians need to wake up and smell the coffee and push back against it. Trevor's mantra is to go where no man has gone before. You see, he cut a new road in Castara in about 1 week or 2 weeks. The road is motorable now. He's now tackling Bad Rock. He's now beginning to do those kinds of things that can open up the road network in Tobago. And I think they're going to succeed. Once the team stays together, and I expect they have weathered the storm of Watson Duke and his stupidity, I think having weathered that, Duke is now a non-entity, and they are free of that encumbrance and albatross on the back of Tobagonians. He came there and, you know, on the Farley's back, so to speak, because people really didn't want him, and he goofed up the only opportunity he had. So they have solved that issue. They have solved the issue of Watson Duke, and they are going to solve the issue of the PNM as well. Never mind that they're going to criticize everything. So let them continue to bray, as Dr. Williams used to say, let the jackass bray, as one of Williams' favorite statements, so that we don't expect anything better. What they have to do is to continue on the trajectory they are on at the moment, and to bring home the goods, even with the limited resources. So I think if you were to take a poll, now that people's eyes are opened to the capacity of the secretaries and what they can do, I think that they'll be loved, the secretaries will be loved even more. The administration will be loved even more. And I think the chief secretary, as a young man, he has made some mistakes. I think he needs to push harder. I think he needs to take quicker decisions. But he has to feel his way. I understand that. So I think he has felt his way in a position now, I think, and I would urge him to take quicker decisions and firmer decisions. And don't worry about what people have to say. I think he has risen to the occasion now, and I'm looking forward to greater things in 2023.
Tell us your thoughts in the area of tourism, looking at the aspect, the division treating with tourism, culture, and so on. What are your thoughts with our progress in that area within the first year?
Well, I think the secretary has done a wonderful job. I will give her 9 out of 10. I'll give Ms. Boris 9 out of 10. We have seen tremendous economic activity. In fact, I spoke with 2 taxi drivers in the airport about 2 weeks ago. And although I am not supposed to be a fan of Carnival, these guys said that we wish we could have a Tobago Carnival every month, because of the amount of money they said they made. They've never made money in such a short time in terms of what happened in our Carnival recently. So I think she has done the planning. She continues to consult. She continues to implement more than ever. I think that's what is important. So you talk, but implement. So she's implementing. You will have the detractors, but what would you expect of the PNM? That's their thing, to criticize, because they don't like being out of power. So I think Ms. Boris has done a marvelous job. Of course, the baby steps that were taken are now improving to manhood steps, if you want to see that. And I think that a culture of keeping Tobago clean and well kept is what they should now concentrate. Make it palatable for us in Tobago. I noticed a lot of grass and bushes around Scarborough. They need to, if Scarborough is going to be your capital, I think immediately they should begin to do such things that makes it look indeed like a capital. So I think they need to look at the cleanliness of Scarborough, all the bushes around our important buildings and roadways and so on. But I'll give her, as I said, a 9 out of 10.
All right. And we want to look as well at the sector with agriculture. We saw some new equipment being acquired. We saw the opening of the food hub. We're seeing a number of initiatives happening on the TADCO and a number of those areas. What are your thoughts in terms of the progress, particularly with agriculture, as what I would describe as one of the larger divisions in terms of the number of sections and departments making up that space?
So, Julian, what did you expect? You could only expect progress under this team. So the secretary was wise enough to listen to the pleas of the farmers. You can't farm unless your land is tilled. So I think it was an important step. She has brought home those goods in 1 year with the limited resources, because you remember those resources were depleted in the last fiscal year under the PNM, and they came into office with a depleted budget. So it is I think it's a good move. The farmers can get their land still now. It's just for her to perhaps streamline those things and to develop priorities. And I like innovation. I like new things. So that I think she is being well advised, and I think that she should act on the advice and to move very, very, very strongly in terms of our food security. There are things that I would have loved to have seen happen in respect of the development of our own flour and so forth. I don't pay much attention to when they talk about doing the cassava and this and that, because they're very expensive. I like the larger projects. Let's plant a lot of corn. Let's mill that so that we can, because there's enough arable land here to do that, and corn grows as you spit. Sorry, right? So that I think for me that would be one of my personal preferences. But I'll give an 8 out of 10.
All right. And you're feeling the area of settlement. You know, they would have made certain efforts with regards to the distribution in terms of grants and so on. What are your thoughts in that direction and your hopes in terms of the area of settlement?
My information is that they have given out more grants than ever before. All right, and they are dealing with the corruption inside of there, where people, from what I have heard, that people are paying public officials to get houses and land and those kind of things. I think that it's a very sad situation where people believe that the only way to get along in life is to bribe your way through it. And there is a culture in the assembly where people believe that stealing and corruption should be the normal everyday thing. And I think there is where the Chief Secretary should put his foot down firmly. You have to root out corruption in the public service, and you should act very fast, because the Chief Secretary will not succeed if he doesn't do that. He has to see that and understand that corruption is a no-no. In my days as an assemblyman, I didn't bite knives. If you're going to steal, I'm going to get rid of you. There's no compromise. I only will talk once. So we have to understand that we need to have a new culture of the way we do things in the public service. Corruption and thievery are two things that should not be entertained. There's no question about that. I think that is what is keeping back the public service, because it is something that was inculcated and entrenched under the PNM. The leaders were stealing. What do you expect the staff underneath to do? And now that you're having people who, at least so far, are not stealing, then we have to encourage that. Don't steal. Don't be corrupt. Right? But there's significant pushback against that. They want the corruption to continue. I think that is perhaps one of the single most important bugbears on this new regime. People want to continue stealing, to be corrupt. And it only leads to crime, perhaps even to the point of death. So that he has to put measures in place, develop specific guidelines, how the public service should operate, what they want to see, and he will speak it publicly and ensure that it is done.
All right.
He's the Chief Secretary.
So you are seeing where we, or probably let me not forget, touching on one of the other areas in terms of our finance division, finance, trade, and the economy. I know particularly in some divisions, so for example, there would have been conversations with the build-out for antiquities. That's under the division of tourism. Education would now have been branded in terms of research and technology, and trade being incorporated into as one of the components within finance, now finance, trade, and the economy. Your thoughts in relation to the division of finance, specific at that to the concern that you mentioned earlier in relation to starting in a time where you probably started with limited resources and now having access to what might be your first budget, so to speak, in terms of moving and driving the development of the island?
Well, the Assembly needs to have people in all its divisions who are going to focus on competencies and strategic measures to drive Tobago's economy. But if we are saddled with a 4.03%, ostensibly designed to keep the stranglehold of Trinidad on us, then it's difficult to proceed. But it seems so far that this team has been very innovative in finding ways and measures to succeed in spite of that financial stranglehold. I think, as I've been saying 10 minutes ago, that the Chief Secretary and his team should begin to act as if they truly want the economy, the autonomy, I beg your pardon, by beginning to make certain kinds of statements, right? By beginning to take certain kinds of acts, forgetting Trinidad, forgetting the pushback from the PNM, and begin to take such steps. So he needs to talk more about the 4.03%. We want a fairer share. We know for a fact that the hydrocarbons that Trinidad lives on and thrives on comes from Tobago's waters. So one of the things I suspect that civil society should engage itself in is to establish a fair share committee. So we begin to talk fair share. The status quo can't be allowed to continue. And the Prime Minister, unfortunately, who is a Tobagonian, doesn't care. He prefers to build out a new house in Hope and live there when he comes, when he wasn't even supposed to be there in the first place. And they talk about the kinds of expenditures that this Assembly has gotten into. But what about that? It wasn't necessary for the Prime Minister to have a house in Tobago. You know, if Kamala Prasad came and had done that, it would have been severely criticized. But there's no usefulness. It was a waste of money. We have a Chief Secretary here. We don't want a Prime Minister here. It reeks of a neo-colonialism and control. The very imagery that speaks to is alarming, where a Prime Minister can find it fit close to how much $1 million? They say it's about $150 million.
I think the correction would have been given by you.
What it was,
about 30-something million.
But that's 1/10 of our budget.
But one of the connections
one house
being made with the fact that in Trinidad and Tobago, there's a President House and there's also a house
those things were before the Tobago House Assembly Act. So
you're saying that it should not necessarily be something that is preserved and maintained?
It wasn't supposed to be there. Once you had a new Tobago House of Assembly, the whole notion of having presidential quarters, prime ministerial quarters, should be thrown out of the window. What is he coming here to lie here and to talk with his government ministers? He couldn't do that in Trinidad.
Well, he's the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. But that's for another conversation. But before we wrap this morning, you've spoken to expectations, you've spoken to the accomplishment. What do you feel in terms of identifying 1 year in is one of the major challenges or hurdles that this current administration still has to overcome?
I think is the whole question of entrenching the Assembly as a true autonomous government, and I think they have to begin to take such steps to entrench the Assembly as our government in Tobago. We have to begin to speak as a true government and to let Tobagonians begin to feel it, that we are governing, and we are going to take such steps to make Tobago truly autonomous in all spheres of public life and public service. I think the emphasis in 2023 should be that. Where our autonomy is, what are the steps we need to do that? Not just signing a check here and signing a memo here and giving an instruction here. There are significant steps that this assembly must undertake to ensure that the autonomy is preserved and the autonomy really realized by the new steps and measures and legislation that's supposed to come into place. We must begin to talk that. I don't think that they've were able to focus on that because of all the challenges they've had. But I think that that is what they should do, begin to do vigorously in 2023.
All right. Your overall rating on a scale of 1 to 10 of this current administration 1 year in?
7.5, 8.
7.5, 8. All right, you've heard it there, viewers and listeners, coming to you from the Tobago Updates morning show. This has been Max James, former assemblyman, giving his perspective on the accomplishments, the challenges and expectations of this current administration 1 year in. All right, viewers, we want to thank you so much for your continued love and support for the Tobago Updates morning show. Those listeners connecting with us online, and as well those listeners tuned in via radio, we want to thank you so much. And online, this is your opportunity to share the live, share the live, share the live.
It's a different type of thing down there. And we party till we drop down there. With a lot of pretty girls down there. Down in Tobago.
Welcome to Lamarche Parfait Day Spa and Wellness Center, your premier spa experience located at Bonaccord, Tobago. Visit us today for facials, cellulite treatments, body contours, body treatments, pedicures, manicures, and much more. We have gift cards for all occasions and corporate events. Connect with us on Facebook at Lamarche Parfait Day Spa or call us 273-7772.
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tobago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tobago's at your service.
Put
a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning. Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Viewers, it is 7:39 a.m. and this is the Tobago Updates morning show coming to you here live from the Port Mall in Scarborough. In this segment, we'll be chatting with Julian Rogers, veteran broadcaster, and as we speak to the Tobago Antigua Barbuda link-up. Morning to you, sir.
Morning to both of you. Morning Tobago, morning Trinidad, morning Caribbean, morning world. How are you all doing?
Excellent that we're able to connect with you this morning. You know, I must start off by asking, how was the birthday celebrations?
Boy. It's quiet, very quiet. No big fuss, but there'll be some kind of celebration a little later on in the month. Decided that I would tie it up with my best friend in Barbados, who's celebrating her 60th at the end of the month. So there we are.
All right, excellent. So as we start the conversation this morning, we're speaking about a Tobago Antigua Barbuda link-up. So we want to give you, we want to ask you to give us a little insight into, what's that connection about?
Well, I think Anton is determined to scoop everybody, but and I trust that the scoop doesn't go too far beyond, but I think it may be too late. But anyhow, I think what I'm trying to achieve is that the Twin Islands of the Caribbean, Trinidad and Tobago, Antigua and Barbuda, and St. Kitts and Nevis, and so on. I'm trying to encourage everybody to take the position that I recognized a long time ago, which is the so-called sister isle is always the one that doesn't get as much attention or feels that it is deprived in some ways or the other. It's interesting I'm having saying this to you, following up on that last interview. But I'm trying to encourage a Tobago to link up with Antigua Barbuda. I'm not leaving Trinidad out of this, but I think it's important to give a greater spotlight to the second territory. So in this case, the Antigua Barbuda link up will certainly give an opportunity for a focus on what's happening in Barbuda. And by extension, then make that link with St. Kitts and Nevis. Again, give Nevis a certain prominence, because the challenge here is that we tend to focus on these so-called sister isles only when there's a disaster, and that's really grossly unfair. So I'm really trying to encourage a greater, if you link, for instance, with Antigua and Barbuda, you get an extra piece of the cherry, so to speak. And then you get a chance to find out what's happening in St. Kitts and Nevis. And by extension, the reverse is also applicable. And that really is where I'm working with some people in Antigua right now, Antigua and Barbuda, that is, to create an entity that will foster that kind of connection. And then, of course, my next step, well, related going on with that is St. Kitts and Nevis as well. So you're getting the scoop. But I think it is important, though, because particularly since the of Tobago updates, I think it's confirmed for me something that's been on my professional agenda for a very long time, which is that Tobago, for instance, shown that it could produce a media entity that would be able to stand on its own.
Okay, I think we just
lost the connection there. But I like the direction in terms of the thinking with the concept. And as he did indicate, our producer is never stopping.
I think that this has been in train for some time. I know Julian, in chatting with Julian within the last year, he has always wanted to work with not just Tobago updates, but to work with Tobago, to have Tobago on some type of project. So this is certainly an excellent initiative. What happens with some of the other islands? I think you think some jealousy may creep in and persons, but I think there's room for all of us. It gives us some. I'm trying to find the correct term.
I want to see us out there on the world stage as a force to be reckoned with, bringing our own style, style to media in terms of international standards. It's like I tell persons with Tobago updates, you may be able to watch every other morning show, but ultimately the Tobago updates morning show seeks to have a little more flexibility in terms of how we
many
engage,
others, yes.
And we make that kind of connection, because I feel like media has gone in a direction where it's no longer your rigid, boxed-in shirt and tie, jacket, kind of hold your head straight, never move your eye, make a mix kind of thing. There's now this feeling and this connection where you are connecting with people and you're interacting with people, and many have met me along the way and indicated that's why I continue to connect with your type of media, and we're seeing that move happening far and wide, right within Tobago, in Trinidad and Tobago here, and even within the region and going out, and I'm really looking forward to that kind of regional brand and that push where people feel that sense of pride. when we get messages coming into us, whether it be from Canada, from the UK, from the US, saying, wow, we are happy to be able to connect with what is happening at home. It gives you that sense of joy, because that's our bold, brave, and ultimate objective in terms of seeking to do things different.
Most definitely, most definitely. And the word I was trying to find a little while ago was that partnership among the islands. I think it's important, not just for Trinidad and Tobago, but for across the islands, the Grenada, the St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Julian is back with us.
And he's back. he's back with us. Go ahead, Ria.
I don't know what happened there, but we all froze. But I don't know what was the last thing you heard from me.
Well, I think Ria was now speaking to, in terms of being able to make that broader connection, putting forward what we'll call that regional product. Mm-hmm. Yeah, what are your thoughts in that regard? Where are we hoping to move the direction that we are seeing media moving to in terms of engaging the world?
But the thing is here that, you know, so much is happening and is possible. I think that we need to stop thinking about the traditional media as we've known it over the years. I'm excited by a lot of the new players who are coming into the market. Some people are just one person, or a few people, as the case may be. I know somebody was talking about the fact that somebody's broadcasting from their bedrooms, etc. I think, though, that ultimately there's going to be a need for some kind of a network of these interests, because you got two types of audiences. One audience that will be here every morning at 7 o'clock to catch Tobago updates, and there's another audience that will review the show later on in their own time, whether it's day or night, as the case may be. So there's and ultimately there's intense competition based on the availability of all these different sources. I saw a show yesterday out of Miami, for instance. One guy, and he was taking phone calls from people within the United States in the diaspora community, talking about the interesting things for them as people living in the United States versus back home in Jamaica, so to speak. And I was riveted by it, because what it did, it gave me a window into how the diaspora people are existing in that American environment. And interestingly, there was one lady who was on for, I think, at least for about 15 minutes. And she clearly had drunk all of the red Kool-Aid that came from the ultra conservatives in the United States, which really was shocking to listen to. But the reality was that the host was more patient than Julian, and gave her the platform to spew all this nonsense. And he was extremely patient. And then, of course, everybody in their reaction was saying, please get her off, move on, etc. But I think that we have such an intense competition going on that we need to be aware of that and be sensitive to that. But I come back to the networking. I think people in other Caribbean territories need and know exactly what's happening in the other territories. I know there's a friend of mine,
Connection seems to be giving some challenges there coming out of it's Jamaica.
Yes.
Yeah, seems to be giving some challenges there this morning.
All right, so we're gonna try to reconnect with Julian Rogers in just a little bit, but I'm particularly interested to Julian Skeet on how why the selection, or why they start with these particular countries, Antigua and Barbuda. Why these? What was so unique or interesting about these countries to start this project with? You know, hopefully we'll get him back on the line. I have to be very specific here. Which Julian I'm posing which question to? All right.
All right, and we see connecting with us on the live this morning, Billy Sterling Lewis. Do you know that young lady, Ria?
Billy, you guys are missed. Say hello to Rev for us. Love going out to you guys. I see great things are happening where you are, great things.
Yes, certainly, and commendations indeed. As I said to Rev, I know wherever you go, you're going to leave that mark, you're going to certainly make that impact. And you have done it here in the Tobago space. Those who you've left, you know, and we are inspired, motivated, and encouraged. And similarly, I know he's going to go out there with the entire family, doing his very best, ably supported by, I saw her, she was at a function here in Tobago that was hosted. She said, I just slipped in for a few. And heading back out. So it's very good to see you continuing to connect with us, Billy, Sterling, Lewis out there, and each and every one of you, all our viewers in the lineup this morning. We want to thank those of you joining us via TV, those connecting via radio, and at this point, those of you online, as we prepare to, just take a quick break. We remind you that this is your opportunity to share the live, share the live, share the live.
The best place to stay in Tobago is at Thorn's Place, with rates starting as low as 200 TT. Call or WhatsApp 745-7306 or 682-8676. We are located uptown Scarborough, 5 minutes away from the port. Remember, at Thorn's Place, our aim is to make your stay safe and affordable. Mamai Lakai Home Services. We specialize in cleaning of carpets and rugs, mattresses, living room and dining room sets, vehicle detailing, cleaning and sanitizing of homes and commercial spaces. We also do landscaping and tree cutting, pressure and power washing, floor care, fumigating and air purifying. You can also call us for professional painting services, babysitting and adult sitting. Call us now 333-4430 at Mamai Lakai Home Services. We take cleaning to another level.
Never ever worry, don't mind if life make you sad. I tell them never ever worry if your house get flooded out real bad. I tell them never ever worry, what I'm saying is true. So just consider, Tatil will always be here for you.
Tatil, where people are people. You know what I mean.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning, viewers, and welcome back to the Tobago Updates morning show, coming to you here live from the Port Mall in Scarborough. Yes, folks, it's been a beautiful morning indeed. I know by now a number of you are tuned in via your devices and the radio because you are on your way, if you're not already there, at the office. Depending on the life that you are enjoying, you might be at home in vacation mode. You might be in that retirement mode where, according to my grandmother, you now live on your own time. So you're sipping something or you're out in the garden this morning with us. We want to thank you so much for continuing to connect with the Tobago Updates morning show. But Ria, this morning before we wrap,
yes,
there is a birthday celebrate that was celebrated yesterday.
Yes.
There's a birthday that was celebrated yesterday. And you know, I want to ensure that we take the opportunity to also highlight, should I say 60 and loving it?
60 and loving it, definitely.
60 and loving it. We want to send our very own greetings out as well. We know that there would have been birthday greetings sent out yesterday through the Youth Wednesday show, and we want to send out our greetings as well to Bishop Baines. Some know him as Bishop Baines, some know him as Pastor Baines, yes, some know him as Secretary Baines,
some just know him as Brother Terry,
some know him as Brother Terry. And we want to wish Terence Baines, Assemblyman Terence Baines, Secretary for the Division of Community Development, Youth Development and Sport. We want to wish you a happy birthday. And we see on screen here, it is 60 and loving it. 60 and this is scheduled for Saturday the 19th of November, 6 p.m. And in true pastor style, everyone is invited to the Shaw Park Hub.
That's right. So it's going to be an awesome evening with special guest artist, Lieutenant Stitchy. I think he's moved from Lieutenant to King. Last I heard, King Stitchy. But he's going to be here all the way from Jamaica. So you've got Positive, Chantel Lindsay, Mention, Melodies of Praise, Steel Orchestra, Trisha Sobers, DJ Polo, Axis, Creed, and much more. So at the Food Hub, you can find a variety of food. I understand all local food. He wants all types of meats for those meat lovers out there. So you're going to get it all at the Food Hub, whether you want rice, pie, provision, and whatever it is, you're going to find it at the Food Hub on Saturday.
And you know, it connects with the person, you know. I saw someone post on Facebook, and never meet a man that loves food so.
You understand? And it takes me back to one of those songs that he sang, when God bless a man, nothing can stop him. I ain't singing no more, but yeah. Baines, Pastor Baines, Terry Baines, Assemblyman Baines, that's for you. Love going out to you. All the best for your 60th. And here's to many, many more.
Yes, certainly wishing you the very best. And we know he's going to be celebrating from yesterday straight on into Saturday. Are we going to pass through that celebration at the Food Hub?
Julian, I'm not passing through. I am standing still at the celebration. I ain't just passing through means that you're just taking it. No, I will be standing still at the celebration.
We'll have to be there. We'll have to be there. So viewers, we'll be able to bring you some updates as we go forward. So we are certainly an opportunity, and that's one of the new initiatives coming out of the division. With Secretary Pantin and Assistant Secretary Tate and Tadco and so on with the Food Hub that's taking place down there at Shaw Park. This is your opportunity to check it out. Happening there on Saturday, 60 and loving it.
All right, so Julian, we're going to wrap up, but we're going to be there certainly. We trust that, you know, it's Thursday. I keep thinking, with all of this, I'm thinking Friday. It's Friday. No, I'm sorry.
Let me highlight on the live in the mix with us, Keith Roberts saying good morning from London, England. All right.
Good morning to you.
And good
Hello,
to connect.
Mike.
Good to connect with Tobago. Billy saying we miss you guys. Yes. Blessings indeed. Thank you. Thank you so much. And we have one of our viewers here, Miguel, indicating always love to see the live active backdrop in Scarborough on this show, and we really try to ensure. We also look forward to the day when these utility lines will be moved as we continue to highlight the challenges while we showcase Tobago. But we're happy that you enjoy the space as much as we do within the process. So we're just about out of time this morning. And before all the hands start going up, and you know, well, the voices I can't usually raise, but before the hands start going up and we see the actions in the background, we thank you so much for continuing to connect with the Tobago Updates morning show. And at this point, we prepare to head straight on over to GMT this morning. And you can look forward. Who's going to be in the spotlight this morning on GMT, Rhea? Are you able to see him from where you sit?
You know, things are bad, but not that bad. I don't have my glasses this morning, but yes, it certainly it appears to be Joelle Sampson, Assemblyman Joelle Sampson is going to be on the program this morning with us for GMT. And this morning we don't have Candace, so Chanel Felix is going to be taking us through the next hour with GMT. So have a great day, Tobago. Stay safe on the roads, and we will see you tomorrow for another edition of.
But just before we run off, Rhea, I walk with Pastor, and a reminder to persons that it's 4 days to go. Familiarize yourself with the route. Register Thursday the 17th, 4 p.m. on the Esplanade. That's today. Registration takes place today, Thursday the 17th of November, 4 p.m. on the Esplanade. And it's 300 mighty men of valor. That also takes place on the 20th of November 2022 at 5:30 a.m. at the Shaw Park Hard Court. So things happening. But remember, today, to register, Tuesday the 17th of November, 4 p.m. on the Esplanade. 4 days to go. Well, in fact, it's less than 4 days at this point. Register today. I Walk with Pastor. That's going to be upcoming. And we thank you so much to each and every one of you connecting with us, those via TV, those via radio, and also those joining us online. We say thank you so much for viewing the Tobago Updates morning show. And we say stay tuned as we head on over to
GMT.
All right. Bye-bye, folks.
A movie, a dream lit. Those are some words used by many to describe Tobago's inaugural carnival after the curtains came down at the end of October. And the Secretary of Tourism, Culture, Antiquities and Transportation, Councillor Tashia Burris, says it was a labor of love which was successfully executed in just about 8 months.
One of the things that we put out in the space recently was the projected cost, or what the THA was planning to spend for this carnival. And I'm pleased to report that the THA would not incur the 17.5 million that we had initially anticipated that we would spend for this carnival. One of the main reasons for that is that there were some elements of the budget that we weren't able to execute this year. So that is where the cost savings, a lot of cost savings would be realized.
Councillor Burris says the bulk of the carnival spend was done through the Tobago Tourism Agency Limited and the Tobago Festivals Commission Limited. She adds that marketing was a critical component to the success of the event. And what about feedback?
The reviews that I've heard from our visitors who played mass with our mass bands in Tobago, some of them have indicated it's the best mass experience they've ever had. And in our first year, I think that is a huge compliment to have when you talk about persons who came to Tobago who would normally play mass in Trinidad or play mass in Miami or play mass in Notting Hill or Caribana or Labor Day, these larger carnivals across the world, to come to Tobago and talk about the fact that they were embraced from day one by the mass band. So that means the customer service was on point.
The Tourism Secretary says Carnival is a serious economic activity that each Tobagonian has the opportunity to own and become a part of.
One of the things that was very telling for me was finding out that on average, an international visitor to Tobago spends at least 11,000 TT dollars, and that is per visitor. So when you look at what could possibly be the numbers for a Tobago Carnival that may have welcomed in the region of about 30,000 visitors over that period, you're talking about, even if you take very basic numbers and say that everybody spent $3,000, let's just use $3,000 as an example. If you extrapolate $3,000 multiplied by 30,000 visitors, you're talking about $90 million. And that is very, very basic.
Post-mortem sessions will be hosted to reveal any shortcomings from Tobago's first solo carnival.
That was a production of the Department of Information, Office of the Chief Secretary, Tobago House of Assembly.
Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago.
Good morning, Tobago and the wider viewing audience. I am Chanel Felix, and this morning I'm here with you for Good Morning Tobago. We are that conversation that you need to start your morning off right. Are you having your morning coffee or getting ready to go off to work, like I usually do when I'm watching Good Morning Tobago? Either way, this morning we're going to have a really juicy conversation with one of my favorite assemblymen. Or should I say that? That might be a little bit of favoritism, right? But one of my favorite assemblymen, Joelle Sampson. Assemblyman Joelle Sampson is here with me this morning. And we're going to be talking a bit beneath the surface and seeing some of the things that we often don't get to see, or hearing some of the stuff that we usually don't get to hear from our assemblymen. But before we start off with that juicy conversation this morning, here is your news in 90 seconds. 10 residents in Tobago received public utility grants from the Ministry of Public Utilities. The grants were provided under the Residents Electrification Assistance Program and the Water Tank Assistance Program in the Ministry of Public Utilities. The program targeted low-income residents who cannot acquire water tanks or whose homes need rewiring. Minister of Public Utilities Marvin Gonzalez said that the PNM-led central government remains committed to the people of Tobago, even though they are no longer in charge of the THA, and will continue to assist Tobagonians in need through their various programs. Additionally, the URP Furniture Workshop produced over 650 tables and 300 chairs for infants in early childhood care. The primary schools across Tobago also received furniture from the URP workshops, and more schools are expected to benefit from the new furniture by December this year. The URP Furniture Workshop has been working closely with the Division of Education, Research and Technology to improve furnishing schools around the island. Many schools encountered problems with their furniture because of the COVID-19 pandemic, forcing schools to go online for the last 2 years. And finally, in national news, the Ministry of Education is reminded that school principals should be guided by the guidelines related to the use of mobile handheld devices, including cell phones, on the school compounds. According to the guidelines, video and audio recordings of any activities on the school grounds, including class sessions, are prohibited unless written permission is obtained from the principal or designated school administrator. Additionally, students are prohibited from using these devices in the classroom unless authorized by a teacher. Meanwhile, students in uniform are subjected to these school mobile policy usage guidelines even when they are not on the school compound. These guidelines are under the National Conduct for School policy. And as we get into this morning's interview, as we close off on news in 90 seconds, I want to welcome a guy who a lot of us know fondly by Nazi and others by Assemblyman Joelle Sampson. Good morning, sir. Good morning, and we are happy to have you on this morning. I hope you're not too nervous. You look a little bit nervous, so shake up yourself. Sit down, enjoy, relax in your seat. I'm not gonna go too hard on you this morning, right?
That's right.
But I want to thank you for taking the time out to be here with us this morning. And I know that Tobago has a lot of questions for you. I have my own questions. We here at Tobago Updates, we have our own questions that we want to use to get beneath the surface. And we know that Tobagonians also have their questions as well. So guys, remember to share the live. Share the live. Tag somebody, tag a friend, tag a family member. Let them know that Joelle Sampson is on this morning. And all those hard questions that you have regarding your district and the Division of Public Utilities works, he is here to answer them this morning. Good morning again, Joelle, and how are you doing?
Good morning, Chanel. I'm doing blessed. I'm fine. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm okay. So as we start off this morning's interview, I want to start off a little bit personal, right? A lot of people see you on TV, they see you operating in the capacity of Assistant Secretary, but they don't really know who Joelle Sampson is personally. So, tell the people a little bit about you and your background and how you even got into politics.
All right, good morning again. Firstly, I just want to thank the Almighty for being here. Also, I want to thank the persons in the electoral district of Bonaccord and Crown Point for giving me this opportunity to serve them, serve each and every one. Nazi is a rare individual. He's one of a kind. He's that loving individual. He's a father. He's a multifaceted young man. He's someone you can approach and talk to on any level, So when you see him, what you see is what you get. There's nothing fake about him. He's all real. He's the one that loves to interact with person. He plays sports, so he's always on the ground. He's up and about, A lot of persons wonder where the name Nutsy came from.
Right.
That was a name given to me years ago by my uncle,
Yeah.
because at Christmas time, when they bought nuts in the house, I would eat out all.
Right.
So they called me the Nuts Man.
Right.
But as I transformed and went to high school, everybody stopped calling me the Nuts Man and they changed it to Nutsy. So that has stuck with me for many, many years.
Yes, and we know you have an extremely charismatic personality. You're one of those guys that we know stay on the ground. How has this new role transformed your personality, if any? You know, has it, because you know they say when you get into politics sometimes you tend to get a little bit more serious, you know, some people are a little bit more grumpy, a little hard to approach, you know. Some people become a little bit out of reach and out of touch with the same society or people that would have, you know, really pushed them to get to where they are. So for you, let the people of Tobago know, how has this really changed you, if there has been any change at all in your personality or how you see your approach life today?
Well, honestly, I haven't changed much. I'm still the same person, still the same me, still do the things that I did before, just moderately.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I still find myself at the churches from time to time as regular as possible. I still interact with the man on the ground. Recently, I started back playing football, the thing I love doing most. So, you know, I'm always there interacting with the young people, trying to give them advice, trying to guide them in the right way. And if you ask anyone in my district, they will tell you, well, yes, he has remained the same. He has not changed. He's always smiling, always greeting somebody, always, you know, able to approach me.
Definitely.
There's not a problem.
Yes.
There are challenges where that is concerned at times, because sometimes people might say, I'm calling you, I'm not getting you. But once I'm in a meeting and you call, I won't answer. I will just reply via text and say, well, I'm in a meeting. And when I do finish that meeting, each and every missed call that I receive, I try my best to call them back. So persons would know that I'm here, and, you know, I'm here to hear you out, and, you know, I'm that voice for you to represent.
Excellent. So people, you heard it here. Mr. Sampson, he let us know that he's ready, he's open and available, and you know, even when he is busy, he tries his best to get back to you. So if you have been trying to get him on the phone or just trying to get on to him any at all, he says that he's open to meetings. So you let the people know what your office hours are, you know, how easy it is to really connect with you, to get in contact with you. Just in case somebody out there's be like, I called you yesterday, but you didn't answer though, right? So let the people know how do they really get into contact with you, or you know, to meet you in the office.
So my office is located at Unit 11, Milford Bay Plaza, Crown Point. That's Dr. Kumar's building. It's opposite the Coliseum. My office hours are Monday to Friday from 9 to 5. There are loving and friendly staff there each and every day. I'm in office on Tuesdays from 10 to 5, so that's the day I see the public.
10 to 5.
Yes, 10 to 5. So
you heard it here, guys, 10 to 5.
If you wish to see me and speak to me one-on-one and personal, you can either book an appointment by calling the office at 610-6322, or you can feel free to walk in, because I don't turn persons back. Anybody that comes along or comes my way, I interact with them and try to assist them as best as possible.
Excellent. So you guys, you heard it here. And so we spoke a little bit about your personality and how charismatic you are, and you know, you pride yourself on being the man on the ground, right? So for you, has that created any type of conflict within your division or any type of personality clash with your current line secretary, which is Mr. Trevor James? Has that personality, because you guys tend to have pretty different personality types. So has that worked in your favor, or have it worked against you? How has that communication between you two been?
Well, actually, the communication is great, you know. I receive the support necessary from my secretary in a lot of areas and where work is concerned. So we don't have a problem. Sometimes we sit together, share a joke, laugh, you know, and that is good camaraderie, and that's the spirit that Tobago wants to see.
I mean, this is beneath the surface, right? So, you know, we're not going to stay surface level, and we're going to give the people the truth as it is, and, you know, the things that they really want to hear. So, although the communication has been good, has there been any conflicts in the execution of your vision compared to the vision of your secretary, Trevor James? Because we know that you had gone in there with your 100-day plan that you made very public, the things that you wanted to see done in your district. And a lot of those things include infrastructural development of the roads and stuff like that. And we see you on the ground, we see you trying your best to get it done. But there may be instances, I don't know, you could tell me better, where your vision for the district might not be on the top of the priority list for the division where those infrastructural works are concerned. Luckily for you, you are in the division as the assistant secretary, so you might be able to push a little bit more than Megan or Tashia or any other secretary might be able for that infrastructure work to be done in their community, right? How do you navigate having your own vision compared to the priorities that has been set by your secretary?
Well, where that is concerned, Chanel, it's no problem. Because he has given me that support. You know, we are both mandated for different things in the division. So I am mandated to the URP and the mechanical workshop. And we work quite well hand in hand where that is concerned. In terms of getting the infrastructural challenges in my district completed, there is no problem because we prioritize in each district what is needed and what has to be done. I inherited an electoral district with flooding challenges, and we have started working together to mitigate these challenges bit by bit. As we can see, and everyone has seen recently, we have just concluded the job at Cocoa Reef, where we will have that swimming pool, as they say, for many years. So that is one off the list. And there are many other things happening in my district, because you know we are the tourism hub, as they would say. We are on the west side, the district that buzzes with all the activities. So, you know, we pay important, you know, we pay a lot of notice and attention to there where certain things are concerned to ensure that persons visiting and persons trekking through that area are comfortable. But we do not leave the rest of Tobago undone. We try to do it in parts. So we here one minute, next minute we are there. So everybody is getting a bit. You know, it can't be done overnight, but it takes time. And persons just have to be a bit patient with us, and we will get it done bit by bit as we have started doing.
Excellent. And one of the questions that I want to ask you personally, you know, being the assemblyman for that area, Crown Point, Bonaccord, do you think there are expectations that your district had that you are not meeting at this particular time, or that you have not gotten to? And what do you think are those needs or those key challenges that might have caused people to begin murmuring a bit in your community, if so?
Well, if persons are murmuring in my community, that has not been meted out to me, because I try to communicate with them, my office staff, my manager. They are doing an excellent job, you know, letting the people know what is going on, what is happening, the challenges that we face each and every day. Because the truth and fact of it, it's not an easy job being an assemblyman. It's not an easy job being a politician, as they would say. Because, you know, it's the challenge of the unknown. You're going to uncertainty. You're going to a new ground, a new playing field, you know. You're stepping into something that you have never been in before. And there would be challenges. But how you face these challenges and go about dealing with them is important at the end of the day. And my district understand that there are challenges administratively. You know, we might not get things as fast as we want to. But once they see work happening, they are quite comfortable, and things have been happening in my district, and the people are generally happy.
Excellent. But there are some individual issues that are outside of the, you know, those community infrastructural issues, right? That are, you know, specific to certain households and stuff like that. Have you really been able to tackle those one-on-one issues? Are you still walking the ground to hear what the concerns are? Because there is the dialogue in the public space, whether we want to accept it or not, that members of certain communities are feeling as though their representatives are already out of touch in such a short space of time. It's almost 1 year, and they feel like they've already, you know, pulled away from the community. So those individualized issues that the members of your community have been facing before, even in the previous administration, that they are continuing to face. How are you attacking those issues? Issues such as unemployment, right? That's a big issue among young people, and I would believe that members of your community are also dealing with that challenge. So how are you dealing with the individualized issues in your district?
Well, Madam Felix, I'm dealing with it quite well, because, you know, I'm always on the ground, you know. Ever so often I get the opportunity where I can walk around and reach persons, try to find out the issues and what's affecting them and how we can deal with it. Also, I have a reliable liaison officer, I have a reliable personal assistant. So once I'm not able to, they are the one going about getting the information, and we sit down as a team together and work out, flesh out how we can go forward, how we can assist persons where employment is concerned, You understand? You know, I try to reach out to the private sector in my district to find out, all right, is there employment available here where persons can apply, where they can come in and get something to do. I try to reach out to the persons who do construction work. Do you have availability where a few young men can come? So, you know, it's that kind of partnership where the THA has to partner with the private sector in order to help those persons who are on the breadline, because the truth and fact is the THA cannot hire everyone.
Facts.
If we hire everyone, there would be no development across the island, because the monies will just be focused on paying salaries, and we don't want that. According, I heard Mr. Julian saying earlier, he can't wait for the lines to be removed in Scarborough. So in order to do that, you have to have finances, and if we employ the whole of Tobago, then we will not be able to do such. So I've been doing a pretty good job where that is concerned. The staff has been very supportive in getting that done. The persons in the districts have been very supportive. You know, they have always been encouraging and motivating me to do better.
Excellent. And one of the questions that I have is that people have said for a while, within that first 6 months, right? Give them a chance. They're new. They're adjusting to the portfolio. They're learning. They're understanding the happenings of the division and of being an assemblyman. But my question to you is, how long do you feel that excuse could be used until it runs out? Right? Until incompetence can no longer be accepted by the people and they're like, okay, it's been long enough. How long do you think the excuse of we are new could be used before people no longer are willing to accept something like that?
I'm not sure how long that can be used for, but persons can see across the island that we are working. We have been here only 11 months, but we have been doing our best. When you look around, you see things that were left outstanding are being treated with. So the issue of us being new, that should be out the door already, because we have been on the ground. We have been working, and as you know, coming from where I've come from, I'm a workaholic. So with me, it's just natural. I have flowed into it. I've just gotten into a groove. I've gotten the support at the division, the support of the workers, you know. Where I'm responsible for, they are motivated. So that topic and that talk of being new, that's out the door.
That's reasonable enough. But we're just gonna make it clear here that any of your colleagues that uses the excuse that they are new and they're still learning the system, you heard it here, Mr. Sampson said the time to use that excuse has long gone, right? So that means that you feel like you are well integrated into the system and understand the runnings of it. By this point, you feel like the same should be for your colleagues. Now, as you may know, your line secretary, Mr. James, has been under a lot of public scrutiny for the way that he has gone about, you know, making certain strong decisions, and where contracts are concerned and awarding contracts. A lot of talk has been happening in this space, a lot of noise, as you know, the politicians like to say. But my question is, how, if at all, do you intervene in a situation where you feel like you are not in agreement with the decision that your secretary has made, is making, to really say, based on the philosophy that guides us that guided us being in office today, based on what we have told Tobagonians, based on what we have promised, this is not in alignment with that. If you see a situation where that is necessary, are you willing to make that type of intervention? Have you made that type of intervention? And how best do you think it is the approach that you should use if you have a conflicting view of how your secretary is operating?
Well, Chanel, there is no conflicting views with us. You know, we sit down and we flesh out things. We decide this is the way we want to go, or how we should treat with something. And the matter and fact, the reality is, whether you do or you don't do, there would always be noise in the space. There would be those who would be unhappy. There are those who would be satisfied. But whatever you do, somebody would say something, somebody would disagree, and in life, not everyone agrees with what you do. But the important thing is, at the end of the day, the decision that is made, it leads to productivity. And as we can see, we have had productivity over the past 11 months. We have seen improvement, and we have seen great infrastructure taking place across the island.
Excellent. And Mr. James has been one of those persons who have been willing to make bold decisions in his tenure. And that is something that we have to applaud. That is something that we have to look forward to, because he has made his vision clear, even during his candidacy, that he wants to transform the infrastructural development of Tobago, specifically in the area of Scarborough. So he made his priority clear as well. So my thing is, with you working alongside him, you also have strong ideas of what you think the priorities in Tobago should be as well. And you said that you guys often come together and you come to an agreement and meet a middle point. So for you, based on those conversations, where do you think the priority is for Tobago, where infrastructural development is at this point in time? What is the strategic plan? What is the core priority?
Well, at present, Chanel, as we see, we are faced with a lot of infrastructural challenges across the island, especially on the north side and in the eastern side of the island. So that's where the priority focus is at the moment. Because if we don't deal and treat with these issues, one part of the island could be cut off from the other. So the other developments that we want to see happening, that we want to see take place, they will take place over time, but we have to take care of what we have before we add to that. We all want to see, according to young people, the fandangles and the pretty things and the nice things and the nice life and the finer things. But in order to do that, we have to ensure that we take care of what we have. Because if we don't do that, we could lose our natural culture as part of us that has been there for years. So we don't want that to happen. So we are treating with those issues firstly, and then we will move on to new infrastructure.
Excellent, excellent. So before we go to the break, my question is, can we confidently say that the priority for now is conservation and maintenance before we get into, you know, doing those really big new projects? Because we just saw a stage in the sea, we saw new roads being built. So is the priority the development of new projects, or is it maintenance of what we have in regards to, you know, the roads and infrastructure that already exists?
Well, it's going to be a mixture of both. As much as we have to treat with the old issues, we have to deal with some new infrastructural ideas as well, you know. But it is critical, as we see with all the rainfall recently, we have to treat with those issues at the moment. So some of the new projects are just on the back burner for a while. Tobago, they are coming, don't worry, you have started seeing them. So, you know, we incorporate everything and we mix both to ensure that we move forward as an island.
Excellent. Guys, you are here watching Good Morning Tobago, and you heard it from the man himself, Joelle Sampson, that the priority at this time is to do both a mix of maintenance and the development of new projects. There's so much more for us to continue talking about here this morning. We have to talk about the airport situation. We have to talk about the Scarborough, the new city of Scarborough. There's so much more for us to discuss. So stay tuned. Remember to share the live, because the conversation this morning is going beneath the surface. We're going to have a lot of juicy talk here this morning. So see you guys when you get back.
Excel Spa by Haley, where our highly trained staff are ready to deliver the top-class services in facial massages, waxing, nail enhancement and body treatment. We are ideally located at Coco Avenue, Switzerland, Tobago. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, TripAdvisor, or you can call us on 730-0149. Excel Spa by Haley. Relax, renew, and rejuvenate.
Never ever worry, don't mind how things looking hard. I tell them never ever worry, if your nice car get damaged bad. I tell them never ever worry, what I'm saying is true. So just consider, Tatil will always be here for you.
Tatil, where people are people. You know what I mean.
Advertise with Tobago Updates. Call 284-6597. If you have a small or large business, we can get your information in front of the masses. Reach our rapidly growing viewership on Facebook and YouTube. Promote your brand in Trinidad and the Caribbean through M&E TV Now and Gayel. Yes, we can build unique ads for your business. Call now 284-6597 and advertise with us.
Whole Life helps me secure their future, provides financial protection with added benefits. Whole Life, the affordable financial benefits plan. Tattoo Life, guaranteed protection.
updates.
Hi guys, you are back with Good Morning Tobago, and just remember that we are currently having our series called Beneath the Surface, where we are going beneath the surface with all our representatives as we look back on their 1 year in service. And this morning, if you've just joined us, I've been talking with Mr. Assemblyman Joelle Sampson, one of our favorites here. And he has been just telling us a bit about why he has gotten into politics, what has been happening in his district, what is the priority areas for infrastructure on the island, and where we can expect to see that going. Mr. Sampson, you would have started off talking a lot about your motivation to get into politics, right? And one of the things that I want to know personally, and I believe a lot of the viewers want to know, what are some of the things that you would have expected, you know, or set as high on your agenda that you were woefully surprised that it was not what you thought it was when you got in, or were not able to really execute it within the 100 days that you would have thought that you would have been able to?
Well, that's simple, Chanel. You know, I don't set too high of expectations, you know. I just allow the Lord to lead me. I ask him to guide my steps, and wherever he wants me to go, that is where I go. So even though I had set some 100-day challenges, I would have gotten some of them done. You know, I'm thankful for that, and persons would see that I'm trying, I'm making the effort to get it done, you know, amidst all the challenges that are faced daily. So I let the Lord lead me, and he deals with that, and I just go where he wants me to.
Okay, well, we can't complain about having that direction from the Lord.
Yeah.
And guys, I see your comments here on the live. We want to thank you for being here and viewing us. Remember to share the live, share the live, share the live. Ask all your questions, and we are just asking the questions that the people want to know. Remember, this is beneath the surface. This is no regular interview, so we're getting in, we're getting beneath, we're going in. I am going in. I'm giving no apologies for that, right? And Joel is a favorite around here, so we're not easing him up this morning, right? Joel, one of the things that has been a big issue recently, right, surrounding your division is the late payment of salaries. Talk to us a little bit about that and what has really been, I mean, your secretary, Trevor James, he addressed it, you know. He let us know that a lot of the issues are because of the process, and a lot of people that are in charge of the process sometimes are asleep at the wheel, basically, right? And we don't want to go around blaming public servants, you know, for any inconsistencies or, you know, lack of delivering, you know, the key goods that we have really told Tobagonians that they are going to get. But we want you to tell us a little bit about what has been happening in that area, you know, where the late payment of salaries has been concerned.
As you said, my secretary would have addressed it previously. As we all know, there are administrative challenges, and the politicians, we get a lot of blame, we get a lot of stick for certain things, but everything was put in place for the division for salaries to be paid on time. But you know, sometimes workers may take a day or two, sometimes the workload, you know, there are a lot of issues that we are faced with, a lot of challenges. We are not playing the blame game, you know, everyone has to take some sort of responsibility, but we are trying our best to ensure that this does not reoccur, you know, so everyone has to come up to scratch, and once everything is in place, this problem should not happen in the future.
Excellent. And I want to shift the conversation a little bit to what's happening in your district. As people know, you are the assemblyman for Crown Point, Bonaccord area, right? You just came out of a successful launch of Carnival 2022 with a lot of activities buzzing around your community and your district. So tell us, what were some of the wins for you that you saw down there happening that you was like, yes, this is my district? And some of the things that you feel like we could truly improve on, especially, you know, where logistics is concerned, because we saw a big juve happen down by you, and there were a lot of opinions in the public space, you know, that maybe we should move it back to Scarborough because the juve may have outgrown that Crown Point space. So tell us a little bit about your idea concerning that.
Well, as you know, Chanel, in everything there is trial and error. It's the first of many to come. You know, there would be hiccups along the way, but you only learn from your mistakes. No one is perfect. So from this first launch, this first initiative, we will sit down, go back to the drawing board and see where we can improve on, what logistics can be changed so as to improve the next year and going forward.
So does that mean that you are also going to be a part of that evaluation committee at the Division of Tourism, working alongside with Tashia Grace Boris and Megan Morrison? Because Megan spoke extensively yesterday about the fact that they are going to do their postmortem, right, in preparation for 2023. So are you planning to be a part of that postmortem with them?
Well, as you can see, this executive, we are a team. We are a family filled with love and unity. And anything we do, we sit and we discuss and see how we can move forward, how we can better something or deal with it or treat with it. So that is what will happen moving forward.
Now, your Chief Secretary, the Honorable Fali Chavez Augustine, during his visit to London, what was that, last week? He would have spoken about new projects, especially in your district. He spoke about the possibility of a hotel, you know, being at the Killigrew area, if I'm not mistaken. So tell us a little bit about that, and what do you know about that? Is there anything that the public can be privy to at this time? Because it was put out there, but it wasn't really made clear exactly what the details concerning or surrounding that is. Maybe it's just at the idea stage. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, as you said, he gave you some information and feedback on that, and that is where I can leave that at. I would not add or subtract where that is concerned.
Okay, no problem. Thank you. And then another, something very close by to that Killigrew area is the new airport that's happening there. So give us a little bit of update, not necessarily on what's happening regarding the residents. That's the next question we could talk about a little bit after. But has work on the new airport stopped? Is it still going on? And what is the status of that project?
Well, where that airport is concerned, Chanel, to be honest, the most I do there is clamor for the residents. I speak on the residents' behalf. Where work is concerned, I think they are doing some work, but not sure where that is or how far that has gotten. Anytime I speak or treat with that airport issue, I always mention the fact of the residents, how they were treated, and how we intend to assist them going forward.
So is
where
that
work is concerned there, I'm not too concerned about the work or what's going on. I'm more concerned with the residents and their livelihood. That is my major concern at present where that is concerned.
Right. And I think the last thing I heard regarding that project was that there were some consultations or conversations happening between the central government and the THA to really get that project up and going. I'm not sure if that was a conversation between the Chief Secretary and the Prime Minister. But I believe personally that Tobagonians and the THA should have a certain level of knowledge as to how that project is doing. You know, how they are going about with it, especially where contracts are concerned, and how Tobagonians are going to benefit from the end product of the new airport. You know, what is the tendering process going to be like? You know, how equal is the bidding process going to be for Tobagonians to really benefit from this new airport? And so I believe that there should be a push for more information, more involvement from the THA level on exactly what is happening with that new airport. Do you agree? And how involved can we actually be based on the arrangements that were already made before you guys came into office?
Well, it's a conversation that has started, and it's a conversation that we will continue to have in order to treat with the issue as amicable as possible. So going forward, that is where we are. We are in the conversation stage, you know, fleshing out how this should be and how we can treat with certain issues, because there are a lot of problems and challenges. But that is all I can share for now.
Well, that's reasonable. Now, you rode into office on a PDP chariot, right? A chariot that seems to have dismantled. Now, you could tell me better, because we are just looking on from the public perception, and you've had the political leader of that party, I don't know if I can still say your party, coming out and basically saying, if you guys don't want to go by my rules, you all could get out of my party. So for me, I want to know from you, how has that affected you individually? Because you came in based on the philosophies that Mr. Duke would have, you know, created. You know, you came in based on his vision. So now that all of this is happening, how has that really affected you personally, your perception of the party? And do you think that you still have the same conviction towards the party that you did when you came in?
All I would say, I'm not affected, and as my goodly Secretary for Community Development will say, God will help us all. That is all I have to say on that matter and where that is concerned.
Oh, wow. I mean, this is not one that we're going to just pass over, right? This is a very serious thing because it's big. Because you have a P&M administration that is currently in opposition that has said in the past that any party that opposes the P&M usually dismantles after, you know, maybe just a couple months. They all come together because of a shared hate for one party, but they are unable to have the type of structure that is needed to really go the long run. This is something that we have seen, it's not a lie, right? Opposition parties in Tobago have not been sustainable. It has not been sustained. My question for you is, how do we change that? And do you think that this PDP situation can be salvaged at this point?
Well, it's funny that you mentioned in this statement that you said the PNM said that anyone that opposes them comes together because they hate them and these things. But this administration is one filled with love. Okay. You know, we are open arms to each and every one. And as I say, God will help us all and He will work things out for the best of all persons in Tobago.
So can Tobago look forward to the formation of a new opposition party, or are you guys going to ride this one out internally and fix the issues?
Well, as I always do and as I always say, we allow God to lead us, and wherever He leads us, we will follow. So He will deal and treat with that issue with prayers and with time. Tobago shall see.
Okay, and do you plan on serving an next term in office? That's the question. After this one, you plan on serving an next term?
And as I will say again, wherever God wants me to go, or wherever He leads me, that is where I will go. Whatever
because the people want to know, if you decide to ride in again, are you going to ride on the same black and green?
Thus far, I've been serving gracefully. I've been serving to the best of my ability. And at the end of this term, whatever the Lord decides, when I kneel in prayer and He says X or Y, that is what I will do, or that is where I will go.
But in all honesty, Joelle, Tobago does not have a culture of electing independent officials. We don't have that type of culture. We have been very politically driven for a long time. People go with who is the prominent party at the time that they are willing to support. Some may even say that some representatives get in office not necessarily because of their character or their ability, but because of the train that they're riding on. So even if you decide to go back, as you said, you don't know as yet, or any other representative, do you think taking the approach of having independence run, you know, I would say that you guys are now serving to the best of your ability, just in case wherever the train goes, you'll be good, right? Because you have put forward, you put your best foot forward, and you have served, you know, the people at a high level. But how do you think there's an ability for your colleagues to be independent and succeed? Or is there a party coming? We want the answer.
And at the moment, all I can say to you is the next election are a few years away.
Yeah.
As for now, we as an executive, we are remained focused on the job at hand and what we have to do and how we have to treat with issues affecting Tobagonians and how we deal with them. So we are focused on now. We can't say what will happen next year, next 2 years. That is left to be seen. But for now, we are going to serve gracefully. We are going to serve humble and with pride.
That is excellent. That is excellent. And, you know, I think I'm really coming from the perspective where a number of the supporters of the party themselves are a bit confused as to what is happening. You know, since Mr. Duke has been doing his mandate Mondays, and since the Chief Secretary would have addressed him during the last sitting, and he said, this is the last time I'm going to address anything regarding Mr. Duke, people are still confused as to where do they really place their support. Should they be supporting Farley and friends, or should they be supporting Mr. Duke? So there is a question there, you know. So there is a need to address the people of Tobago where that is concerned and really have them understand what is happening at that level. And I believe that your colleagues and yourself, you know, you guys will do that in time. There's no pressure, but people want to know. The people really want to know. So as much as we want God to help us, the people want answers.
Well, as you said, you asked the question and you answered it. You said in time they will know. Yeah. So there's no need for me to comment on that anymore.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you so much, Joelle. You're good at this. You're very good at this. I'm really enjoying this interview. Viewers, thank you so much for, staying on with us. We will be back again after the break to have more of this conversation. Remember, this is Good Morning Tobago and Tobago Updates, and we are beneath the surface. Guys, see you after the break.
Cafe, the buffet restaurant that specializes in all your tasty local dishes for breakfast and for lunch. Breakfast includes coconut bake and sada roti served with chokers, bull joel and sausages in tomato sauce. Not forgetting beef and cheese pies, shepherd's pie, macaroni pie and rice in various styles. Meat served in a variety of flavors, garden salads and pasta salads. All this accompanied by fruit juices, coconut water, your choice of a great combination to appease your taste buds. So call us today to order, as we are here to accommodate your busy schedules or if you are having a cooking day off.
Rest assured helped me to cope with the unexpected, provides financial help for final expenses. Rest assured, the affordable financial comfort plan. Tato Life, guaranteed protection.
Oh God, oh gosh, all you catch me? Well, we know it's the Tobago Carnival weekend, so right now I winding down low to loud discounts at American stores. Remember, anything can be yours at American stores.
So wake up and hear me neighbor, 60,000 people strong, and the vibes is never wrong. We are beauty, we are power, we are people in the sun.
Welcome back to Good Morning Tobago, and the conversation this morning has been juicy. And I've been looking at the comments and I've seen that you guys are coming very hard. And that just says that the conversation this morning is as juicy as we want it to be. Now, I've been having fun with Assemblyman Joelle Sampson this morning. We've been asking the hard questions and trying to get beneath the surface. Our job is to really, expose what the people want to know. What do your constituents want to hear? What do we want to see? And based on everything that you had promised us during your candidacy, where are you now and where are you heading? And one of the areas that you have been mandated to oversee is URP, right? And we want to know, what are some of your plans for, further developing that program?
All right. Well, I'm glad that you touched on that point, because at the moment it seems like URP is the gateway to heaven. We have been working very hard. We have been in the limelight. We have been doing what needs to be done across the space, and the workers are motivated at the moment, because you have to give incentive for workers to be motivated to work. When I came into office and I was mandated to URP, and I looked at the setup, and I looked at how things were, and I looked at the salaries, and I looked to see what benefits they had, it was second to none. In this day and age, we are in 2022, you can't have persons living that standard. So we did a policy to increase their salary. We also included in this policy that they would benefit sick leave, casual leave, and vacation. Some of the persons don't understand, so I'll explain it to them. When you implement these new things, some of them don't take place right away. So there is a period that has to pass before you do such. So where the sick leave is concerned, after 6 months from the 14th of July, where everything would have taken effect, then you now can apply for sick leave and casual leave. In terms of vacation leave, you either wait for a whole calendar year to pass, or you work 200 days continuously, and then that can take effect. So there are the persons that saying, we're supposed to get sick leave and we can't apply for the sick leave. It doesn't just work like that. Policy, there is a time period and a time frame where these things take effect. Also, I would like to flesh out educational part of the URP where we do some classroom work, you know, where persons can educate themselves more, where they can get certified, you know, so you prepare them for the world of work, otherwise where, you know, they can engage into their own business, you know. We're going to set up an area where if you want to start a business, we lead you down that path, direct you and help you to move on and out of the program and become your own boss, you know. Definitely. So you could take a few persons with you, because as we see, URP has a lot of talent.
Exactly.
Right? So,
and we don't want people to continue to be dependent on the system. We want to get them to the place where they are able to sustain themselves.
Yeah. So, you know,
definitely.
So yeah, where that is concerned.
And we have seen you actually on the ground. Many times we have even passed on the road and seen you out there with your engineers and all your technical staff actually down there in Crown Point on the road early in the morning before 9 a.m. You're out there with them, and you know, you guys are doing your assessments and stuff like that. You have been truly, truly deeply involved in not just the policy but the actual projects themselves. So tell us more about some of the other projects outside of that project that took place right outside of Cocoa Reef that are happening in that Crown Point, Bonaccord area.
Well, as you can see, there's a lot going on. If you look at the Pigeon Point entrance, it was deplorable for years. That piece of strip going from where Kafta's, the Arabian food places, down to the corner at Bago's Beach Bar, it was horrible. And I decided that we had to treat with that almost immediately, which we did. The remainder of the road going into Pigeon Point, persons are wondering what's happening, but we are in the planning stages of developing that area, because we see now all of a sudden persons are just coming and build things ad hocly.
Right.
We don't want that. We want to be more developed, we want to be more unique, you know. We keep it local, we keep it Tobago, yes, but it must be in some order. So I'm proposing for us to have a boardwalk done in that area and set up some shops for the persons that are there. You know, at least set up a couple washroom areas so persons who use the beach can have facilities to access the rinse off and these things, you know. Because we have a lot of seniors who access that beach on mornings. So, you know, it would be good for them to have some sort of washroom facility. So we are intending that is next year. I'm hoping that we can have that rolled out and, you know, get that sort of development that we need to encourage and attract persons to the island. So when they come here, yes, we had a great time. It was nice, you know. Also, I'm proposing that we do an overhaul of Storby and the Heritage Park upgrade, you know. So you know that there are things that persons can look forward to. They can come and ply their trade and, you know, make their finances. And then there is the problem of the flood mitigation. So my engineers are down there on a daily basis looking at how we can treat with that issue, because it's something that has affected us for years, and I'm going to try my utmost best by God's grace to ensure at the end of this term that I serve my electoral district of Bonaccord Crown Point to the best of my ability and rid of most of these problems that we are faced with for years.
Excellent. And so that then leads to the performance of the Assemblyman and your performance thus far. So regardless of where, you know, that political thing goes in the future, we could really see the work that you have been putting in and these ideas for innovation in the area. Now, you spoke about that Swallows Beach proposed boardwalk.
Yeah.
Right. Now, one of the areas in politics that we see for a long time, even with the previous administration, people are crying out about consultation. Now, this is your idea, this is what you want to do on the beach. A lot of people would agree that there needs to be some level of uniformity along that board, along that Pigeon Point entry, because you have a lot of different structures there, but there's no uniformity. And we understand that the shops, you know, having bathroom facilities, having, you know, just a nice area where people could enter the beach is important. Have any consultation been done on this proposed boardwalk for Swallows?
Well, at the moment, it's just in the planning stage. We are just having discussions about what can enhance the area. There will be some discussions. We will have a town meeting eventually, and persons can bring forward their ideas of how we can get it done, or what we should do, or what's the best for that area. But that will happen, you know. We just at the thinking stage of how can we improve our community, how can we make it more user-friendly, how can it look more attractive, you know. So that consultation and that you know, that conversation with the residents and the broader Tobago, because it's an area that each and everyone on this island access.
Okay, no problem. And my question is, how do we find a balance, if this is completed, right, this new boardwalk with the new shops and everything, between engaging some of the vendors that are there at the moment and allowing new persons to have the opportunity to have a space on the beach? How do we balance that? What approach, are you thinking about?
Well, in the thinking stages, we're not going to overload the area with shops. We have an idea of what is there, who has been there for a certain period, and we will treat with that when that time comes, how best we can go forward as to not affect those persons who operate there, who gain their livelihood from there. So it's not about affecting them, but instead of creating a better space, a better environment for them to ply their trade.
Right, and that's excellent. And there is still the issue at you say you want to do a total overhaul of the Storby Beach facility. Yeah. There's still the issue there when you enter into Storby, you kind of have the guys who operate, the tour operators, you still have this small issue of haggling. You feel like, hey, how are we dealing with that? That is something that affects tourism on the island, especially on that particular beach. How are we dealing with that, and how would we deal with that new overhaul of Storby?
Well, currently I've started having conversations with the reef boat owners. They have been coming one by one to my office, and we have been having that conversation where how we can go forward. Because these guys that are on the corner, they don't just go there on their own, they are operating for someone. So if we have to take it back to the days where they bring back the boot system, so we have some kind of order, because we need to have order in the place, because with order, and proper communication and customer service and being customer friendly, it would attract persons to come. So that is a conversation that has to continue on how we go forward and how we treat and deal with such.
Definitely, because I know that the previous administration did also put in a ticket booth down there as well. So the ticket booth situation is not something like a new idea. It has been implemented before, and we've still gone back to that way that they are operating right now that is hazardous to the tourism product down there at the beach. So then that opens up the question for what policies would be implemented to have, stricter running of those ticket booths. We have to look into what type of policies do we really put in place there, because there has to be.
Yeah, we definitely have to do that. So we will sit down with the management for Storby and all the operators that operate through that space, and how we can put something amicable together, so that it would benefit each and every one, not just some, but each and every one that would grace that area and would pass through that can say, we had an experience while we were there and it was wonderful, and they can recommend persons to come. So that is something we definitely will have to sit down and flesh out together.
Excellent. You had a number of ideas coming into office. Are you going to stick to some of the plans that you had in the beginning, or now that you're in office and you really see the level of work that has to be done on the ground, a number of those things has changed, a number of those things may have shifted around? Tell us more about your vision going forward.
Well, Chanel, nothing much has changed, because remember in the campaign stage, you would be walking your district regular, you would be going around, you take notes as to what is happening, what is needed, where the challenges are, and how we can improve on them. And as I've said, I've started, and persons have started seeing work taking place in the district. It's not like nothing is happening, because when nothing happens, then people start to murmur, they start to complain. But work has been happening, things are getting done, and we will continue in that vein, as we try to upgrade the district, and not just my district, but the Tobago on a whole, because I'm in that infrastructure department where we have to deal with the Tobago infrastructural challenges on a whole. So we would have walked the districts, we would have gone to all the districts with all the other assemblymen. So we see where the challenges lie and see how we have to go forward. So it's not just about my district, but it's about developing the whole of Tobago, so that we can make it, according to the chief, the greatest island on the planet.
Definitely.
So that's the direction we are headed into. Nothing much has changed. There are infrastructural challenges that may come along the way that you may have to treat with something that you didn't expect, but we remain focused on that goal.
And you had also been given the portfolio as deputy, right, presiding officer. Tell us a little bit about how you've been functioning in that role and how that has really helped to develop your character, since you've gotten in office.
Well, I embrace that challenge. I actually enjoy it.
Okay.
The couple times I've been seated on that chair in the house, it has been a wonderful experience. It helps you develop, it helps you grow, because at times you go to the parliament for training and you see how the processes and how they operate there, and it just helps you, it builds that confidence and develops you. So for instance, you go on an interview, it's like nothing, it's like taking candy from a baby, because you have been at a stage where it's even more nerve-wracking.
You have to swim with the sharks.
Exactly. So that experience has been a wonderful one. I have embraced it, and I'm embracing this job. I'm loving every moment of it, even though it has its challenges. But I do look forward to serving for the next 3 years and ensuring that the persons of Tobago are served, not just some, but to each and every one. No matter your political affiliation, no matter what walk of life you come from, I interact with each and every one. I try my best to assist them. If I can't, I point them in the direction of someone who can. And that is all that the persons require, that you can assist them. Sometimes they need a voice, and I'm that voice for them.
Excellent, excellent. Well, you really has shown that training is going in the right direction. But we want you to be real with us. Has there been any point where you've went down to the parliament or anything that you've encountered during your current tenure that had you a bit intimidated, and how did you really conquer that? Like, tell us about a situation where you felt like you were, walking into a room of sharks, or tell us a little bit about that. We want to know about some of your personal experiences since you've been in office.
Well, the thing with me, I'm never scared of anything,
All right.
Sometimes there may be the uncertainty, you might wonder, but once you have the armor of God on, nothing is to scare you. You always walk in a room confident, brimming with pride, knowing that, hey, I'm here for this, I'm up for this challenge.
Definitely. So you have believed in yourself, and there are a lot of young men in your district who have seen you climb to this place. They probably kicked football with you down there in Bonaccord, and to see you now at this level, performing at the level that you're performing at now, they are truly inspired. They look up to you. But we know you still have your own personal challenges that you have to deal with. So I want you to take this time out before we end this interview to really encourage the young men specifically in your district, regarding life, and how do they really maneuver to get to where you believe that their calling is or their purpose is.
Right. Well, it's quite simple, I could give them a brief story of a young man. After leaving high school, he didn't excel that well, he didn't do that well, but he did not give up on life, He kept on pressing, he kept on fighting, he kept on trying hard, doing little courses here and there, working from morning to night, and eventually moved up the ladder, moved to a different organization, and he worked there. Everyone he came in contact with, they loved him because of his work ethic and how he would go about gracefully and humbly. And then he kept climbing the ladder, and he kept moving on. He got into different positions at a big organization. He ended up in the union as the president of the daily rated at that organization, and he kept pressing on, and eventually ended up into a position like this, and that person is me. So any young person who want to elevate in life, they can just take that example, be motivated by how I was motivated. I never let the failures of life keep me down or have me demotivated. I always motivated myself. I always had that confidence knowing that I will be great someday, and God has guided me and He has blessed me with that. So to all the young men in Tobago, keep reaching for the stars. The most you can do is fall amongst them.
Oh, wow, wow, wow. Well, I mean, I'm sure that the young men watching are truly inspired. We thank you for the time that you've taken to come on here and get beneath the surface. Allow me to ask the hard questions, the questions that we know, many might say that nobody wants to really answer. There are challenges happening at this point in time. But the fact that you are brave enough, as you say, you are always strapped with the armor of God. Indeed. Salute you for that. You're never scared. You came into this interview, you wasn't scared.
No,
I'm happy that we had so much fun this morning, right?
We had fun. I am enjoying it.
And I look forward to having you back pretty soon. And we know that you did not get here on your own. You have continued to say, how much God has blessed you, how much He has kept you and guided you. You also have been, focused. And you have encouraged young men of Tobago to be motivated and to be focused. But we know that there are key individuals in your life throughout this journey that has played a really big role. And before we leave this morning, I want to give you the opportunity to possibly call those people by name that would have been with you in the trenches or just has guided you or had such a big impact on where you are today, and say thank you.
I'll just mention a few because they're quite a lot. But the first person I must mention, that's Grace. Grace Mackenzie. That's my mom. It's not my biological mom. She grew me from 3 months old and developed me into the individual that I am today, and I must thank God for her and how she raised me. There are a few other persons in this space where I worked with at my former job at WASA. Mr. Kevin Nori always giving me sound advice, and good guidance and these things, and I want to thank him for that. We are quite a number of persons as well. Too much to mention, Alison and Joanne Douglas, a rock and foundation in my life. They are like my second parents, and then I have my son, my biggest supporter. He's always daddy this, daddy that, daddy that. And then I have to thank my siblings for their support, my close friends, and also I want to, thank my girlfriend for her always supporting me. Big up to yourself, Dr. Winchester. And thankful for my team, my colleagues, each and every one of them. They have been very supportive and always encouraging and motivating me. So thanks to everyone. The electoral district of Bonaccord, Crown Point, loving the house to you always.
Wow, that was excellent. Thank you so much again for joining us, Joel. Thank you to the people of Tobago and our entire viewing audience that has been watching this morning. Thank you guys for your comments. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for tagging. Thank you for going back and forth, because we see you in the comments, and we appreciate your engagement. Remember, tomorrow we continue again with Beneath the Surface. We'll be having Mr. Assemblyman Sonny Craig, who's a representative for Bukumong Pleasant, and he would be on with Candice Jackson tomorrow at 8 a.m. right after or Tobago Updates morning show. So we look forward to having you guys, and it was excellent. I had fun, you had fun. Let's do it again sometime, shall we?
Anytime.
Thank you so much.
Not a
Again,
problem.
guys, remember that we will be here tomorrow, and you could always rewatch this show if you were not able to watch from the beginning. Again, I am Chanel Felix, and I am going to be here on Tuesdays and Thursdays complimenting the great work that Candice Jackson has and continues to be doing here on Good Morning Tobago. So thank you guys, and we look forward to having you again tomorrow.
A brand new dawning as the passion start to rise, the energy fill the skies. I say thanks.